In 2 parts of the IELTS Writing band descriptors, it talks about how writing mechanically will keep down your score. So today I'm going to show you how to avoid doing this. My name is Lara Ryan, I've been an IELTS examiner and I've been an IELTS teacher at the British Council. I've been doing this for over a decade and I am the founder of Complete Test Success. As always, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. So first of all, let me show you where in the band descriptors it refers to writing mechanically. So the first location is actually found in both the Task 1 and Task 2 band descriptors under Coherence and Cohesion for a band 6. And what it says is this: uses cohesive devices effectively, but cohesion within and or between sentences may be faulty or mechanical. The other place you will find this word is in the academic Task 1 band descriptors, so this part is not relevant if you're doing general training. This time it's for Task Achievement for a band 5. It says, recounts detail mechanically. So to begin with, let's look at what it means to write mechanically in relation to your coherence and cohesion score in both Task 1 and Task 2. Here we're going to look at body paragraphs from IELTS Writing Task 2, so that's relevant to you whether you're doing academic or whether you're doing general training IELTS. Now, the thing is, I'm going to show you what you should not do. I'm going to explain what to avoid by showing you an incorrect sample. So let's look at 2 body paragraphs from Task 2. So I'm just going to read it out for you here first. Firstly, couples who get married in their 30s have more opportunities to travel. That is to say, couples tend to have children shortly after getting married, and they don't have time to travel if they do this while they're young. For example, most of my friends travelled a lot during their 20s, but now that they have children, their holidays are spent at home. Secondly, couples in their 30s have more financial stability to support a family. To put it another way, they've had more time to focus on their careers and have higher incomes. In addition, they have more savings than couples in their 20s. For instance, in Ireland, it's difficult for parents to save money because of the expenses like healthcare and education. Now, initially when you look at this, you probably feel like these are very well written paragraphs, and in a lot of ways they are. But the issue is the way that cohesive devices have been used, and this is what we refer to as mechanically. So let's look at this in more detail. If you notice, the first sentence of the first paragraph starts with the cohesive device, firstly, and then the second sentence starts with, that is to say. The third, for example. Now, this wouldn't be too bad, but the same thing is done in the next paragraph. The first sentence starts with secondly, the next one with to put it another way. In addition is used to begin the third sentence, and the fourth sentence starts with for instance. So this is where we see cohesive devices used mechanically. There is no thought put into when it's appropriate. There's no consideration as for whether they are necessary or not. And this is what we refer to as mechanically. And if you write an essay in this way, you are limiting your coherence and cohesion score to a band 6. I often refer to cohesive devices like the indicators on a car. So those orange lights on the left and the right side of your car are there so that you can show the other drivers what you plan to do. So if you plan to turn right, you turn on the right indicator, and then they're not surprised. Of course, if you don't turn on an indicator, they're expecting you to just continue driving forward. And these cohesive devices are much the same. So if you are going to just continue as normal and the reader is going to get what they expect, there's no need for a cohesive device. But if you're going to change topic, or you're going to swap to the other side of the argument, or you're going to move from your explanation into your example, the reader doesn't expect this to happen, so a cohesive device helps the reader know what's coming up, and they don't get any surprises and they don't get confused. But just using them in every single sentence, regardless of whether they're necessary or not, is not appropriate. So when the reader needs that extra bit of guidance, use a cohesive device, otherwise just leave it alone. Okay, so the rest of the lesson we're looking at academic task 1. So if you're doing general training, unfortunately this is not relevant to you. But don't forget, you can still join me for my free live feedback lessons on Zoom every week. The link to join that is in the video description, and we cover general training and academic task 1, as well as task 2, reading, listening, and speaking. Okay, so let's just have a reminder of what it said for academic task 1. So here we're being shown that your task achievement score will be limited to a band 5 if you recount detail mechanically. So what does that mean? So really what this is about is the fact that you have to look at the graph and you have to make a decision about which information is important and which information can be ignored. And if you don't do that, you're not achieving the task. So let's look at this question, and I'm just going to focus on the red line for this example. So here's a description where I am recounting detail mechanically. So this is what we do not want to do. Scotland started with about 85 kgs before jumping to roughly 105 kgs in 1990. From that point, the figure dropped significantly to approximately 70 kg in 2000 and then down to 60 kg by 2010, and in the final year, Scotland consumed 55 kgs. So when we look at this piece of writing in relation to vocab and grammar, it looks pretty good, but the problem is that the writer has not chosen the key features. Instead, they have just mentioned everything. So let's look at that problem in more detail, and then I'll show you what you should be doing. So when we look back through the text, we can see that the writer has mentioned 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010, and 2020. So basically they haven't made any decision about what to include and what not to include. They've simply included everything. And that is not how you report the key features. So the key features will be the most important pieces of data, and in general, anything in the middle of a straight line is not important. So instead, what we want to do is report 1980 because that's the beginning, 1990 because there was a sharp turn here, and 2020 because that is the end of the time period. So considering that, a description for the red line should look like this. Scotland started with about 85 kgs before jumping to roughly 105 kgs in 1990. From that point, the figure dropped significantly until it was down to approximately 55 kgs in 2020. So before we finish up, I'd like a little bit of feedback from you. In the past, I was making long-form 20-30 minute videos, and recently I've been making shorter 5 or 10 minute videos. How do you feel about that, and which ones do you prefer? Please let me know in the comments so I have a better understanding of how to help you. Thank you very much.